Yeah, I'm right there with you, David. Just shower me in coffee because it is what it is.
It's cool that you can chat before you even start it. But
Yeah,
I
that's
wonder
kind of
what,
wild.
yeah, I wonder what theirs looks like.
I don't know. Is it
Like, do
chat
they
amongst
just get
yourselves like a lobby?
yeah, like a spinning wheel?
That'd be kind of cool. Could be fun.
Morning, Doug. It's a pre-party. It is.
Yeah.
You're not waiting. It seems like you can all chat each other while we're in our pre-starting invite.
We're doing it like the old school days where we just have a pre-party.
Just make the silence less awkward, yeah.
This is true. It'd be cool to get some like holding room music. So when you first join, you got a little something in the background.
Elevator music.
Yeah.
Like me some good elevator music.
Lil Jon? Oh, it's early for that, bro. I don't know. Shades of MySpace.
Shades of MySpace.
Gallery or speaker mode?
Did you find out which one was good?
I thought we Michael and I tested it for the two of us, but we didn't have other people in here. This gallery mode's fine. Whatever it's on is whatever it'll be.
Oh, it says live. What does that mean?
I don't know. Maybe that
it's automatically recording, so that's good. It looks like some folks are still being invited. That's cool. Maybe it's easier to invite people too while you're already in here.
Oh.
Yeah, you can just share an invite.
Well, that's interesting. We should have put on LinkedIn that be sure to join us on Teams.
This is how the link brought us in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So then it was said invited. Well, we are trying something new and improved. We're hoping. We'll give a little bit of an update of this Teams environment since it will be a long-running Teams.
Yeah.
So,
should we go ahead and get started?
But let's get started. Yeah, Mr. Early, we'll get started. And then we'll make some announcements about housekeeping items for Teams offline.
Are we doing the MCR the day after Christmas?
Not the 26th.
Okay.
Because offices are closed that day.
Yeah,
I'm assuming most offices are closed, but our offices, yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the last MCR of 2023. Holy moly, it is December 19th, and it's just been a whirlwind over here, and probably things are looking different on your end because we're in a different Teams environment now. But Michael's still holding it up in the plant fort. How's it going today, bud?
It's going good. Yeah, I know. I saw a different background for you, Mr. Early. You're traveling for some stuff for ATG, so that's awesome. I'm excited to have everyone here and figure this out together. We made the pivot from Zoom to Teams, so we are going to learn how this experience works together. A little bit of housekeeping since it is Teams and the chat is active after this. Let's not use it until we are back in the environment of MCR. If you do have questions or things throughout the week, feel free to ping us on LinkedIn. But just so our chat doesn't blow up while we're currently doing other things after the meeting, just try to stay away from pinging in here. But by all means, it was great seeing some chat and some gifts before we even started. You can feel free to do that if you jump in early. We will continue our 15 minutes early banter next year when the new year starts. But we have officially moved to Teams, and we are excited to keep this going. Feel free to remove the other ones because we can't remove them. In terms of the MCR invite calendars on your calendar, you can remove those. I just deleted them right before I jumped in here. So the ones from Zoom, not the one from Teams, feel free to delete because we can't send out cancellations to those. So if you want to not have like 3, I had 3 on mine, feel free to remove those. So you no longer have to juggle which one we're going to. We are moving forward with Teams and using this platform. What else, Jason?
Yeah, it was certainly a little bittersweet to remove the Zoom invite. It's been long standing for a long time, and we know it's out there on a lot of calendars. But unfortunately, Zoom is not playing nice with their customers and not letting us do what we need to do. So we're just switching to Teams, which is so far so good. Please give us your feedback. Do you like how it looks? Should we change modes? We've got GIFs now. We've got emojis. It should be a little bit more fun, a little bit more interactive for everybody on the chat. But Michael and I had a good conversation last week about moving forward with Teams and going into the new year. So we've got a lot of fun stuff planned for you. We've got some new topics. We've got some new pivots that we're going to make, and we want to take you along for the ride. So thanks for sticking in here. Thanks for your patience and your flexibility to join us on Teams. And we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing for a while now.
Yeah, because we don't have a poll in here, right? And I think we sent out email questions. If not, tell us what you're looking at for the new year. What type of innovations are you looking at? Autodesk announced AI. What type of softwares do you want to see on here as well? Yeah, you can. We don't see it that way, David, but you can definitely organize it that way. But again, feel free to tell us what you're looking at. We're going to mix some things up in the new year to keep this very active and going. So feel free to ping us on LinkedIn or shoot us an email if you want to give us some ideas on some other solutions you're integrating in with, so we can have some folks on here, just like we did with Kyle, kind of the ACC platform, talking about Autodesk products. In that vein, things that you're using in the industry. That way we can kind of cater it that way.
Yeah, I definitely feel that 2024 is going to be a year of innovation, right? More and more firms are going to adopt new strategies, and if it's preparation for this AI takeover, however you want to spin it. But I think a lot of firms, the ones that we've been talking to lately, have been really focusing on templates and workflows and efficiencies, and we want to be along for the ride. So if there's anything that you're working on or thinking about or want to just discuss, let us know. And if we have somebody in our phone book that we can call and phone a friend type of thing to bring in to have an expert on that topic, then let's do it. But in the meantime, MCR is always Bluebeam focused, and most roads lead to Bluebeam somehow. So we will stay adjacent accordingly. But today we're going to do an old-fashioned hop in the software, get technical with it, and do our thing. So.
Exactly. Today we're going to be talking specifically about studio sessions and projects. So we're going to go through and talk about some of the workflows that we've seen utilized within there and some of the limitations, of course, that you're able to go through and use. But right before we start that, I'm going to make a quick tip video on integration into Excel, but I know because we had that break between where we were going to still show things, what was new really quick in between, and then we had to pivot because we had some issues, as we always do here, but we kind of worked through them and tried to make an easier transition. But first and foremost, I think there was someone that was in here last time asking about Excel, and let's just kind of give a refresh of what MCR is about. It's about you, the community, coming together, talking about things that you've used Bluebeam for, and us showing you. And you can ask any question. So there's going to be a topic, as always. The topic is what we're going to try to cover. But at any point, you can ask any questions, and that's kind of re-hitting back where we're at now. Someone asked a question about the integration into Excel, and I don't want to let that go in the air any longer. So we'll talk quickly about that because I did fix it. I actually had to redo my M365 suite, which was not just like the small repair, it was the full repair that I had to do. And then it made me install new teams, which was weird. So I don't know what happened there, but we'll go through and talk about it in order for it to integrate into Excel.
It's a lot of stuff you got to do.
Yeah, it was a good time because it made me install this new because I had Teams, but it made me install this one. This one doesn't work after I repaired it. So I don't know. It is, I don't want to say it is what it is, but we figured it out. But as we go through the integration into Excel, I think I still have it saved on my desktop here. Maybe it was this one. No.
Ooh, book one. Oh, it's got it. It's always book one.
It is. Look at that. Okay, so I had this saved for the document. We're going to go through and show the integration, and we'll just update to this new one. So I'll save this out as so I don't overwrite my example set here. Save this to my desktop, and then we'll just put MCR. So from here, save this to my desktop, and we're going to use some integration with some of our tool sets. I've already created some here, so just flooring and tile that I'm going to use specifically to create these markups as we go through and try to itemize for some information, right? And there's a bunch of different ways to use this. This question was specifically about not taking it to the further step, which is using Power Query. We all know there's comments about using the quantity link feature, and that comes with complete. But again, we know there are some reservations with some folks about using it, and they prefer to use Power Query. So we've done episodes on that. You can go back and look at them. We had Doug on, we had Vince on, who talked about those workflows. But specifically, we're just going to show the easier integration of, hey, we created a custom markup, and if you have questions, there's past videos, or if you want us to go through more in depth on how we created these custom markups quickly, we can do that. But how do we link this data that's in our markups list right here for this PDF into Excel, right? We want the measurements that are here, not the comments, but the comments are the same. So we're going to go through and just say our area. We want these measurements to be brought into Excel. How do we go through and do that? So I've already created an Excel worksheet here. And how do we link in data from Revu, so our PDFs, directly into Excel? And we're going to go through and show that. So I'm going to delete this information here. We'll delete this. So we have our measurement and what our measurement type is. So this one, I'm just going to put tile here. It's not going to bring in this data, but we do want the measurement that's brought in, right? So how do I get tile brought into here as a measurement? You can right click on a cell. You now have quantity link, and you can create a reference to it. So from here now, what I'm able to do is select the type of measurement that I want to go through, but actually I need to link my source data in first. So if we're going to go through and do that, why don't I have my source data?
You got to create it first.
Okay. But it's got to grab the source data. So we'll just do a new workbook. There we go. So as we go through, and we'll just copy this over because I love Excel.
Not a hint of sarcasm at all.
Did it come off that way? I think it did, huh? I love Excel. It's so awesome, and it is. But we're going to go through and do quantity link. We're going to create it. I'm going to add my reference files here. So we're going to go to my desktop here. Desktop had the one that says MCR. We're going to open, and then you can add as many as you want. So if you're taking it from a couple of them, you have that option to go through and add them from there as well. But I'm going to hit OK here. So now it's saying, okay, from that PDF that has measurements on it, because I saved it, remember? So I went through, made my measurements. That's a workflow you would do. You'd go through and make your measurements. You save it out, and then you have the option to go through and grab what type of information. I want to grab my areas, and then my areas go to what subject. So you can have flooring or a specific label. So I'm going to come back and then put the flooring type, because I don't want to take all of my subject of flooring, right? I mean, you might want to, but tile is going to be a different cost than carpet. So I'm going to go first, and I'm going to do tile first as the label of measurement information that I want from my PDF, right? So we're just going to make sure this says tile, and then we're going to go here to carpet. And then this one is going to be that carpet one, so quantity link. And then here's source files. So if you ever needed to update them, I'm going to create the new link to my area and grab the other label, which is carpet. So that way, whenever that measurement's made, it updates as well. So what does that mean? Or is this going to auto update anytime that we have it? It does. So we're going to have this here. Why didn't it click open like that?
Just dismiss the markups list.
Well, there we go. That's what I wanted. So now whenever I make the same markup, right, it's going to grab that same data and update simultaneously as we're in here. And I'll just do click by click because I know everyone's like, why didn't you actually click the areas? So as you see it being placed for this flooring type, and I'll make this a little bit bigger. And you can't switch these around. I know it's been a question, like, can I move this over to here? Because comments don't pertain to measurements. But as we go through to here, so I made a new tile location and it updated the actual measurement of it. So if I go back to over here, we go to the break room, and I am just going to not click on the other areas, but you'll see it automatically update. And same thing for the existing one. So as I subtract space, it subtracts that number. So as you're going through and creating this, again, live updates to the measurement data that's coming from your PDF directly in Excel. So this would be a workflow if you've already had something that was built out for costs and totals and you wanted to add the measurement data directly in Excel. And this was a question from last MCR of going through and doing this. Yeah, pivot tables are your favorite. Yeah, if we had Matt Lind on here, he made a great pivot table the other day. He's been doing some great things in Excel. But that's using this quantity link. That was a question, last time, and I didn't want to deviate from what MCR truly is. Someone was asking about that integration. And again, it's just right-clicking on a cell. If you have the complete version, it will integrate into Excel, and you have the option to select quantity link. You create that data of information, which pings you to a source file first. What data do you want me to grab information from? Because these are going to be different, right? So what are you grabbing? Well, these are going to be the same, but this is going to be different, right? Like who is making them, what color, and those types of things. So again, this is all of that markup data that we're able to go through and grab that information from.
Hey, before you get out of there, okay, go back and create one. There's a question about, can you do links like you would do trim work? So in there, when you go to create, you don't have to use an area. So there is an option for length, area, volume, wall area, width, height, and count. So just about everything measurement wise in Revu can be brought over into that quantity link. So
yeah, because we do like trim here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that?
Just I don't know. What do you call that? Why am I drawing a blank? Come on, millwork people. Help me out here.
It's not considered casework.
No, it's not casework. Just like I don't know. Baseboard. Yeah, there we go. Baseboard, crown molding.
A bunch of different baseboards, and then we'll just do wood trim. I don't know, right? Maybe.
Sure.
Anyways, you can be more creative than us. And then we'll make a color that is, it's Christmas. So we'll do this. Oh, well, there's not going to be a fill, but that's fine. And I don't like to show captions or anything like that. So great, made my custom markup. How are you going to save it? We're going to go to our tool sets, left click, hold, and drag. There we are. So now what I'm able to do is from here, we have our length, subject. So I think I need to save it when it's a new one, or I just need to make the markup, but we'll do both.
Oh, you might have
I
to
wonder if I have to
cancel out
refresh.
of that and then go back to make it.
Links connected. So let's see. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
You were
So
already
from,
in the dialog box.
yeah, and it was just picking up the regular data. So we'll do wood trim here. Well, I guess I want baseboard, so we're fine. So from there, right, as you're going through and making this, and if I add another one, you could go through the same segment of it's going to be here, right? It's going to end here. So enter, and then it's going to continue on here, 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 enter, and it's adding that up, right?
Now, this would also be handy if you had somebody else was in control of the actual Excel spreadsheet. You could build it out for them, and then you could be the one in review going nuts with all your measurements, and it's just going to update for them. So this is a way to collaborate, sort of foreshadowing to our studio component of the collaboration. This will allow, multiple people to do what they need to do, provided you had it saved in the server and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And then you can always add control points. So like I missed that area. So being aware that it's updating the data here, and then you could just put a cost and, all those good Excel things where you have a formula that's total. So that's going to be, cost times B. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to do it the slow way. And I know there's a quick way of just grabbing these two cells and putting it there. So, good stuff.
And you can make review do that math for you as well if that's something you're interested in, but that defeats the purpose of doing the Excel exercise. So
Yeah.
whatever works best for you.
That's just our example. Wanted to show that off because I know there was some questions. There was another one, and you sent me a PDF to review from an update that I didn't have.
Oh, that's right.
And what did that do? So what was that question? It was like, can I see the new thing that you did?
Yeah, so there was that new update in 21 dot whatever it is, the latest one that allows that custom caption, those custom labels to be pulled from the markups list. And I created a pretty neat PDF that had some different landscape areas, and I had it all set up with those custom captions. And then I sent it to Michael since he hasn't done that update to see if it would work.
And I still
And
haven't done the update.
but you can see it. So that was a neat little trick that I didn't think was going to be possible.
And that was, which one was that? The custom captions? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. So now that we're done with that, let's move into Studio. So Studio is part of Review, and whenever I do demos, it's kind of they think it's separate, right? As we're explaining it and trying to hit it home for people. But this is included in every version of Review. There are some limitations now. There didn't used to be, but now with the new Review 21 SaaS base, there is limitations in sessions and projects. You can't create them if you have basic. Core Complete give you that capability. Just so you're aware, if you're making a decision of buying new licenses, basic again is more of an admin use case, and it's not to create sessions. You can't do that. You can join them, but you can't create new projects or sessions. Okay. So coming into here, this automatically signs me in. I'm going to sign out. The reason why it auto signs me in now with Review 21 is that you sign in via your license. So this one's already going to use, there's this little check button here, use my review credentials. So these ones here to sign in. Now, there was a little bit of an issue with this, just so we're all aware. If you had a studio ID before, that wasn't leveraging your license, same email address, then these projects and sessions aren't going to be in the same one that this one's going to be starting in if you're using this. Now, if this email, let me explain this better. If this email is the same, you can use this. If this email is different, then you are going to sign in not by using your review credentials. Whatever your old Bluebeam email ID was is how you're going to sign in. Does that make sense?
I mean, it doesn't get much more clear than that, but your Bluebeam ID is something you should be thoughtful of. Certainly I like to see a working mail, and not just something, personal or jokey or whatever. Because if you do have somebody administrating this through Prime and they're going to see that ID, they're going to want to, make sure it's legit.
Yeah. And Prime is the ability to manage projects and sessions from a management standpoint and analytically. It's a separate tier of license add-on that you have to pay for, but it also allows you to integrate into your other solutions like Ignite or Procore if you're using those. The other great thing, again, is the ability to go through and manage and see what projects people are working on in sessions and create that bird's eye view of what's happening. And if you add someone in, it does bring all of their existing projects and sessions into there, but the downside is you have to add them into it. It doesn't auto-populate them into it. But okay, so I'm going to sign in. So there's two parts to Studio. There's Studio Projects and Studio Sessions. So Studio Projects is this paper-looking icon here, and what Projects is essentially unlimited storage for any file type except zip files, well, except executables, because I've done that before, into projects. So it's kind of like an essence of a Dropbox scenario. You can work off of Revit projects in here. You can work off of DWGs. How it does file locking is a check-in, check-out. However, it does not work on central models for Revit, and I would assume same thing for Civil 3D with the sheet set manager. If I'm saying it right, it may have issues with that, Jason.
Probably. I haven't tested it.
Any questions coming through?
Just talking about is there ability to transfer the ownership of a project or session? And yes, you can do it through Studio Prime, but Liz thinks you can do it without.
So you can do sessions, transferring of ownership through sessions and projects. I don't know. We'll test it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what some limitations are of projects and sessions. So we'll go into here. I always bring this up because I no longer memorized any of this. So projects, again, how many attendees can join a project? Unlimited. How many files can be uploaded? Unlimited. I will say once you reach a file size, it does become a nuisance to add new ones. It does take a little bit longer to push it up to their cloud storage. So just being aware that asterisk here means that you will experience latency. Right here, although Studio Proc offers unlimited, under 10K, you will have higher performance. 10 gigabytes. Anything over, again, it's going to be a little bit more latency. What files does it support? Any file format. I've tried putting an executable in there. It does not. So I wouldn't say everything. And then can attendees' rights be managed? All that good stuff. So again, then when we go into sessions, there are some limitations within sessions. But let's go and create a project. So we're just going to do this and talk you through this. So up here again is the projects icon. So we're working with projects first and foremost. And here's the plus icon right here that allows you to create a new project. So all you have to do is hit the plus. Again, you can't do this if you have the basic tier of review. So we'll do MCR 2023. This is the last one for 2023, just so we're all aware.
Yeah.
Unless you all want to jump in and actually, please don't Teams us on a Tuesday on a work holiday.
But we could show off everything that Santa got us. Come on. Maybe we
Remember, housekeeping.
Yeah.
Housekeeping. Don't use the Teams unless it's the day of MCR. And then once it's over, it's over. So get all your gifts out during MCR, please. Okay. So MCR 2023, I'll hit OK. So this is starting a new project here. You don't necessarily need Studio open anymore. So right here, I can just click this, and then I just have this project pane open. But what we're able to do here now is see that this is essentially a project. It builds out like a tab. Here's the name of this. You can invite attendees from here. This was a new invitee box or invitee kind of UI. It's better than box. That was created, I think it was in 2019. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere around there. They updated the way that you invite attendees because it used to be a little bit more difficult. You couldn't copy paste en masse, but now you can from right here. So again, you can type in email addresses here if you wanted to invite people into it. At the top here, which is your dynamic options bar, you can see the same thing, project, the ID, what you use to join projects. So over here, if you wanted to join one and you weren't invited, you can hit the plus and join. Automatically will not let you all join if you're trying to join this right now, because it does by default. If I go to project settings here, user access, it restricts attendees by email address. So right now no one's added, so it won't let you go through. It tells you who the owner is, and any statuses of things being uploaded. Now we were talking about changing this to someone else. And
let me go ahead and invite me. Oh, you might be onto something there, Isaac. So then I just got an email ding popping up telling me that I've been invited to a studio session to start collaborating, and I can, or not a session, a project.
I do know if you have your ID, you can message Bluebeam and have them transfer it on a project. I've just never seen it transferred here. I know sessions you can transfer ownership of markups, but not the session itself.
Yeah, thanks, Jared, for putting that in there. You can transfer sessions from the Studio web portal, but Prime is the only way to transfer a project. And I think that's where we talked about it before. Like, don't ping Bluebeam because they can't do it.
What is it? Oh, it's studio.bluebeam.com.
Weird. I never go here. I forget about this portal all the time.
Yeah, so this is the original. This is the Prime portal. I don't know what any of that means, but this is what you get without Prime. This is the classic portal. So this is where you can go and see your sessions. So from here, reassign ownership. But I can't manage my projects from here. In the Prime portal, right, we can go to projects here. I go to this one, and I can transfer the ownership of this one to, you know, whoever I'd like.
Right.
Coming back into here, though, there's some settings. So general, these are the total amount of users. If I want to change a project name, I can. If you want to manage notifications, so notifications of things that happen in the project itself, you can manage that here. I want to enable notifications on this project. This is overall account preferences, so things that you get notified for outside of this specific project. So if I want this project to be notified, what is it going to notify me down here? Next one is the ability to go through and manage shared links. So this does send shareable links to people to download things. If there are existing ones in here, you can manage those links from here as well. I think last time I clicked this, it didn't even work. And I think we're in the same boat. What if I can't copy links.
That's a long link. Holy moly.
Does it work in here? Doesn't even work in here. So if anyone at Bluebeam is listening in, manage your links doesn't work right now. So going forward, you have the user access. So again, automatically it's restrict users. The reason for that is anyone with the 9-digit PIN can join. By default, they cannot unless you've added them via email address. This is definitely a great time to create groups as well. So you can create groups of people if you wanted to. That way it's easier to invite them. But also it's great when you're doing folder permissions. Permissions overall is great as well, but really you probably don't want to give everyone access to most things in here. But there's two different permission types for projects. There's the project level permissions. So what can people do in the project itself? Like, can they invite other people? Can they manage permissions? You have the option to say deny or allow. They can have full control, so they can do everything. So maybe all attendees can do everything, or a specific attendee can do everything, right? So if I go through and hit this, here's Artley. He's actually joined. So now I have this one. So now he has full control of this, and he'll have the ability to share links, revoke checkout, all of that good stuff. We'll do folder level permissions after I create folders. The only downside I see to projects, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, is that you can't move files once they've been added. But let me show you that. So basically what you can do here is you're going to create a folder structure. So we just talked about some of these settings. We're going to skip permissions and folder permissions because I need to set up folders first. We just talked about permissions. Right here, we have the ability, you'll see this tabular format out to create folders. So I'm going to do an ARC folder, and then I'm going to create another folder as well, but I'm not going to create it inside this subfolder. So if I clicked into here, you'll see this tab format. So you can think of it almost like File Explorer. If I created a folder here, it would be under the ARC folder. I want it under the overall project. So you can right click and say new folder, or there's additional ones up here to the top right. In this one, I'm going to make a struct. And then I'm going to do one more just because Artley's here. And I'm sorry, MEP folks, I'm not adding one there, but we'll do civil. Okay. All right. I don't want to leave anyone out. Okay. There's another way to do this. On my old computer, I had pre-created folders and subfolders in File Explorer, and I just dragged and dropped. That's another way. If you want to automate it, another way, so the third way to automate would be the ability to create automation in here. So you can do that as well. Studio Prime. Okay, so maybe I want to create a subfolder now under the ARC umbrella. So if I put that there, so I clicked it, now I'm in here, and I can create a subfolder called Drawings. And then same thing for structure. We're going to do drawings. And then we're going to create one more. And this one's going to be PDFs. So just showing you that we're able to create subfolders within subfolders if we wanted to as well. And kind of here is the hierarchy of how you can see them panning out. And then there's permissions for these as well. Is there questions?
Nope, but we're talking, you can cut, copy, paste files in projects. So I mean, that's related to moving things around.
Yeah, but you can't drag and drop, move things. Like if I grab this one and drop it into here, right? Well, actually, it's supposed to be in the PDFs. Like I can't move it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one downside. When you place it, it's not permanent because you can, of course, copy and then paste it. But what if someone has it checked out or looking at it, all of that good stuff?
It's a good way for your folder structure to get out of control real quick.
Yeah, so you just have to be hyper aware of where you're adding things and strategic at the start. Perfect. So from in here, now we can go through and do permission settings for this. So folder permissions, there are folder permissions in here. So you can kind of almost think of it like ACC permissions, where you can set up folder level permissions for people that have joined if you're all using Autodesk Construction Cloud. If you're not, let's just show you. So basically what I'm able to do here is all attendees, or again, you can create singular people, or you can create groups here. So you can add groups, whatever the group name is, and then in that group, you could add specific people.
So here you could have a group for your civil teammate, right? And then civil people will have access to the civil folder, and they're not going to be able to mess with the structural folder, right? So think about it that way. It is a pretty clever way to manage those permissions and still not let it be pure mayhem and project.
Yeah, and when you create your groups, they stay here forever. So like I've had these groups since I've started, and you're good to go. So if you're working with, you can put X, Y, and Z firm, add all of their email addresses, and you're good to go, and you never have to do it again. But for this one, so all attendees, that means everybody. This is specific to Jason Artley. What can he and can he not see? So right now, he has the ability to read everything, so he can just view it. So what I want him to do is be able to only see the civil side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say from here, it's actually hidden. So this is going to inherit from parent. So as you look at this kind of tree build out, in the structure folder, there's drawings and PDFs. And their rights, in order for him to see these two, is inherent from parent. And its parent is the structural folder. So right now it's hidden. So they're inheriting the rules from structure, which is hidden. Same thing for the ARC folder. I can go into here. It's hidden. But for civil, I want him to be able to read, write, and delete. MEP, I also want this to be hidden. So now he has the ability to go through and only see the civil files. So anything that falls under the civil folder, he can read, write, and delete. But again, there's other rules like maybe just read and write, which means he can check it out, and we'll talk about that for file locking, and modify the PDF. Or read, he can just view it, or hidden, or inherent from parent. So I'm going to hit say OK here. So how does file locking work? What is this, right? We're storing things in here. So how Studio Projects work is a check-in, check-out basis if you want to modify it, not if you want to just view it. So if I just want to view this PDF, I can double click it open, and I can do side by side with my project, and you'll see now this new thumbnail of the PDF here with a lock on it. That's because it is not able to be modified, but I can view anything that has been updated to the project on the PDF set itself. And again, you can store Excel files in here. You can store Word documents. If you open any of those, they open in their native application. For this one, it's a PDF, so it's going to open and review. Now, if no one else had it checked out, which you could see on this left-hand side, if Jason checked this out, it would have had a little human, and I could hover over it, and it would have said his name. Are you doing that right now, or?
I'm trying to get over.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you were going to. Yeah. You can't see it, can you?
I know. No, because I can get into MCR 2023, but there's no folders. There's no structure shown at all.
Nope, but you can see civil.
No, I can't see that either.
Oh, you have to refresh it, so you have to close out and then join back in. But he'll never be able to see the structure because if you remember, we told him he can't see the structure folder here. It's hidden.
No, I can't. I can see the structure folder. I can see drawings. I can see PDFs, and I can see that floor plan.
You can.
Yeah.
So if you close out, oh, that's because I gave you full access to everything in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bummer. Well, now we know there's a workaround for that. Filter. They added this new filter, by the way. Well, it's been here, but you can do date created and name.
Because when you get out of control, like what you've got going on, it's a lot of projects.
Yeah. And be aware that you have the ability to click the top here. So if anyone's checking things out and you're in the project, you can always right click on MCR and refresh versus having to close out. So again, right click, refresh, and it will refresh everything if any updates have been made and you're not syncing. So the sync means that is going to set to sync and pull and push data that's being updated and caching the file local. So if you are on your iPad and you're out in the field, you're going to want to set to sync so it caches that file local before you go out. So that's the set to sync item here. So just so we're all aware, what does that green button, what does set to sync mean? If you haven't opened it, it didn't cache a local copy. So like iPad, we were talking yesterday with, or last week with Matt, and he talks about how he uses projects to mark up in the field versus cloud. So being aware that you would want to set the sync if you're on your iPad out in the field and you want to have access to the PDFs because it caches that file local. So if I wanted to work on this, you just check this out. So you're checking it out like a book at the library. The library doesn't have multiple copies though. So I've checked it out. I can open it now and I can modify it. So up here, it's now no longer on a lock symbol, and I can go through and make a markup, left click, and I can update the server copy if I wanted to. So if I wanted Artley to see changes so he can go and view them, you would hit update server copy. And when you update the server copy, it's going to give you an option. That's a local one. It's going to give you the option to also make a comment. So update X, Y, and Z. Make sure you put comments in here so that people can see them, because you're going to have a revision history. So this just updated the server copy, but kept me keeping it checked out, right? If you check it in, that means you're giving the copy to the library back and someone else can check it out, right? And if you don't put any comments in here, we'll show you what happens. So what you're able to do here is on this icon, you can actually also see revision history. So anything that was done at a set time, you'll also see the comments. You can also revert back to an older one. So if hey, there's a revision cloud, but I wanted to see what happened before those markups were made, you can actually open that version and you can do the side-by-side comparison, which we all love in Bluebeam, right? So there we are. And there's no revision here, but there is one here. I can close it out. If I wanted to, I could always go back to revision history and say, we need to go back to this version here. And this works for all different file types.
Yep, this one comes up a lot, this version history and tracking revisions. It's becoming more and more of a weekly thing that we're hearing over here, whether you're managing it in Bluebeam Studio or August Construction Cloud. Having a way to get back without saving copy 1, copy 2, and having 15 different versions of the files in the same folder. Having this embedded sort of historical data has been really, really impressive.
Mm-hmm. And then if Jason were to check it out again, you'd see the human and you could right click and I could revoke his checkout. Because let's say he goes on vacation, like he's out of town right now and he doesn't have his laptop. We'll just say he didn't have his laptop. If you do revoke their checkout, though, any work they worked on does not get saved. But at least you can continue working on the file. So you do have that option to revoke checkout if you need to as well.
So I checked it out and I opened it. What can you do on your side now?
So now I see that he is checked out. So checked out by Mr. Artley here. This is another great thing because, again, on File Explorer, you can't see who has it opened if you're on a network or something like that, right? It just says it's currently opened. So what you can do here is right click and you have the ability to revoke that checkout if I wanted to. So that means it will revoke his checkout and any modifications made by the owner will be lost. So it does warn you unless you've checked this before. And now,
does it warn me?
I don't know. We'll see what it does.
I don't know. I don't think we've ever tested this. I'm curious to know what it does to me if I make changes or do whatever.
And try and check it in.
Check in. You currently don't have this item checked out. So it popped up immediately. You don't have this item checked out. So it's putting an error message on there, the triangle warning symbol. Basically, yeah, negating all of my changes. And I'm in my own little read-only world here.
Good.
Interesting. Okay. So it tells me there is a conflict, and well, just our changes, and that's it. Gee, thanks.
You're welcome. So
yeah, that's a neat trick, but that's where certainly communicating if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it'd be if you're in a pinch, right, and you really need it, because you could have just opened it up. Well, I don't know. I mean,
open it and do a save as.
Yeah, save as, and then transfer markups. If you didn't want that person to lose a lot of work, but if it's something that you just need to actually modify for everyone to see, then that's what you would probably want to do. Perfect. So with that, that is projects kind of in a nutshell. Again, you can store PDFs in Excel and do the same thing. So if I close this, save it, and then bring this open into here, book one, you can still work off of things like this. If you open it, it's going to open up in its native option and it's read only because I didn't check it out, right? And then if I right click and I check out, I can open it which they fix this, by the way. You used to have projects open to save it. Otherwise, it doesn't save the copy. Now you can have it closed. You don't need to be in it, and it will save the metadata, right? So if I go through and I make some modifications and I hit save, so let's test that to make sure it is still the same. Yep. So it's still saying that project location right here. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So save, hit escape, review. It used to, you had to have review open to do it, making sure that it's saved. But we'll come back into here. I still have it checked out. It shows, and it did update. So even if you close out a review, it still knows that path, which is great. You don't have to worry about, oh, I closed review because I was working in Excel and I saved it and it didn't save it back. That definitely happened. Okay. Same thing for a Revit project. Again, if it's not a central model, you have the ability to work off of that in here. You have to caveat. If you just double click it, it's going to open up the most recent version of Revit. So you probably want to put what version of Revit it is in here. So the person that is working in it, I think this was 2023. Otherwise, you're going to be in the same boat that I am. Make sure you have the correct version of Revit open. I'm positive-ish.
It's just a good work. I mean, it's a good habit to be in, to open up the version of the software you want first, whether that be Civil 3D or Revit or AutoCAD, just to have the correct profiles loaded. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah. And here, as we're looking through, as Revit loads, right, you just, again, because it's going to open up the most current version of Revit that you last used from the project, right? So if I click it open, it's opening up the current one or whichever version you have open, which I hope this, yeah, so it was 2023. So now I can go through and make, some changes here. Boom, hit save.
What happened?
I didn't know it creates a cache local. I didn't check it out, but so it creates a cache local. That's cool. I didn't know that. So before I even do this, nope, don't want to save it because we're going to check it out. A cache local, if it's a read only, that's cool. So we'll go through it, checked it out, open it, and we'll make our changes. Hit save. We can close this out. Don't want to close the version of Revit open. And then we could have checked it back in. We'll check it in.
And you can still comment. Look at that.
Yeah. And then we'll open it again because I just want to see the changes. But what I do want to show is this. And from here, you can open that version.
But same thing applies. You want to have the Revit open before you hit open.
And here's that. It gave it like a, whatever that bracket is. I don't know. 1. Bracket 1 bracket. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, version history for both, right? So again, being aware of that in projects. We're not going to have enough time to cover all of sessions, but we'll go very quick. Sessions. So what can you do in sessions? What is sessions built around? It's built around the ability to work simultaneously on PDFs and 3D PDFs. So in order to do that, you just hit the plus button here. You hit new session. We'll do MCR 2023. From here, you can add PDFs if you wanted to. You can always go back and add them after the fact. It creates a copy. So whatever you're working on your desktop, it copies this. It's not going to update this and brings it into the session environment. So you can hit open. There's some options here of what people can do automatically. I'm going to restrict attendees, and then we'll add you after, Artley, so people can see like the cool live integration. Then I'll invite you.
Now, keep in mind, there are some pretty hefty limitations to what you're going to do in studio. So we'll talk about that as they come through.
Yeah. So there is some limitations. 500 people can only join. 5,000 files can be uploaded. What files does it support? PDFs. How big can the files be? 1 GB. How big can the markups be on a PDF? 10 megabytes each. How much space can we use? Unlimited. So I'm wondering if that's like how many sessions you can have, because there is like a limitation to this. So yeah, unlimited sessions. Okay. So the great thing about this is once Artley joins, you can see now that he's not joined, right? But you can select a reminder if he or whoever takes a while to join. So now that that's been created, there are the settings here, which is the session settings. You can check all of this if you want. We're not going to go too in depth because, again, we're running out of time, and then permissions and all of that good stuff. But the great thing about this is Jason has the PDF open, so we don't even need to be in Teams if we didn't want to, right? The theory of this, kind of like the synopsis of this, is we used to all gather around a table and do coordination reviews on PDFs and have conversations around it, right? But the great thing is now you don't have to. I can right click and I can follow Artley. We could be on the phone and it actually shows where his mouse is live as he's going through and making markups. There's also markup integrity in here. So I can't modify any markups that Jason has made, but I can go through and live watch him make markups and coordinate and collaborate in this method as well. Back in my day. But yeah, so it's a great tool. There's other things in here. There are limitations and kind of workarounds for things like statuses, but statuses are great. We did an MCR with Liz on this about what statuses and how to manage statuses in here for customizing them. So feel free to go and check that out as well. Maybe we'll do a rerun of that if folks are interested. But as I click on this, I can see that I don't have the options to modify this because Artley made it. However, there's cool things like, hey, I need to reply to him because he didn't do something right here, right? So you can say, make change to hatch. Where does that go? So now you have an icon here that says it. And then you also have the ability to see your markups list down here of that as well. You can still run statuses, but you can't make custom statuses in here. You also have the option to have the running record report. So this is anything that's ever happened. You could chat in here. So if you didn't want to Teams chat and you wanted to chat directly in the session, you do have that option as well. You can do notifications. So if you make a markup, you can notify somebody and the notification will be here. So you can click to the markup. Pending is if you're working offline. So you do not need to have an internet connection. However, you need to click the PDF open so it caches a local copy if you are going mobile without internet connection. But if you disconnect from the internet, you can start making markups. Everyone will not see them until you connect back. Now that I've connected back, it pushed it out of pending back into the record, and now it's saying that it's made a cloud. And again, you can right click on any markup and you can alert an attendee. That way they are made aware of things that have happened in here. It again goes under notifications so you can see it, click to it, all of that good stuff. That is part of sessions and the great functionality within here as well.
Correct. So now on my side, when I open up my panel, I see notifications and it tells me Imachave alerted me to Cloud Tuesday, and it gives me that warning. So I can click right to it. It works really well. A couple things to note about the chat. There isn't a private chat, so whatever you put in there will be available to everybody on the design team. But keep in mind what this is used for, right? This is meant to review and collaborate. And I highly recommend setting your status up at the top. So if I'm currently reviewing, Michael's going to see that on his side that I'm in review mode. That way, Liz, you got me there. It's meant to review. So yeah, we need to change that spelling, don't we? So it's going to allow us the ability to review it, do what we need to do. What it's not going to let you do, what you cannot do in a set session is add another sheet. There are some commands that you can't do because it's in that review mode. If I'm done reviewing it and you go move a bunch of things and add some sheets, that's no longer, that data is no longer, doesn't have that integrity anymore. So we want to make sure that whatever we're uploading is not in that still moving phase of the project. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's part, again, this is part of the before, it's design review, and you can't do document management
Right.
in the big scheme of things. Like, I can't come in here and say, hey, thumbnails, right click, can I import, delete pages? No, because they're reviewing it. When you submitted it into sessions, they're reviewing the submitted set in the session itself. Can't do any modification to the PDF, because then it kind of breaks that true mentality that we're reviewing a set that you have deemed fit for us to review, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are workarounds, like maybe you are reviewing it and then you want to do some document management. Well, you could have had it in a project, initiate it into a session, you review it, put it back into the project, modify it back into the session. So again, there are some workflows that you can utilize it if that is the mentality that you're going to use it for, but just doing it the correct way is what you would want to do. And we can show you that, again, if that's something of interest moving forward. Again, this is always about you all listening in, and feel free to ask us any questions if we're glossing over something or there's something really important that you want us to cover, because this is all about you listening in and asking us questions. And then for our longtime listeners, they love to jump in as well and add some knowledge for where we can't add them in, because we're not day in day out there anymore, um, doing that design work, right, Arlie?
Correct. So as Michael mentioned, this is all about you, the community. So, going into the new year, we're not going to have a session next Tuesday. So this is the last one of 2023. By all means, put in the LinkedIn Morning Coffee review group if you've got ideas of stuff that you want us to cover, or heck, if you've got a workflow that you want to show off, we're welcome to do that as well. January 2nd, that is a fine question, my friend. Because do we have a holiday that day? I forget. Um, I I really miss having an easy to access calendar in Windows.
We are not off, but I do know I'll be flying out, but I think I won't be at the airport at that time yet. So we'll keep you all posted on January 2nd,
Mhm.
of what we're going to do. If not, for sure, we're back on the 9th, to continue onward. And at any point, if you want to message us on LinkedIn or email us of something you're looking for, because I don't know, is DJ CJ here anymore?
No, she stepped out.
Okay. I don't know if this emails you a report after, like Zoom did. So I would err on the side of it doesn't versus it
Mhm.
does. So feel free to email us if you have anything that you want us to talk about for the new year. We are building out our list and we are excited.
That's right. So thanks for your patience with the team's transition, and we will see you all in the new year. Be safe out there. Um, have a happy, safe holiday, and we will see you in 2024.
See you all then. Thanks again.